what's up, Elder Scrolls fans? And it's about that time. The Dark Brotherhood patch is coming soon. And I'm on the private test server on PC. And I gotta say, there's some pretty significant changes. Starting out with, you no longer have vet levels, you have your champion level. But that's something we can review at another time. So, as always, I'm going to try to put out a new build for each patch. And I need to start doing my budget builds. But first things first, let's go over the Dark Brotherhood NightBlade. A lot of changes has actually happened, and one of them I'm not so happy about. So Camo Hunter got a huge nerf, where it no longer procs at second damage. Instead, Camo Hunter, it changed from a major savagery, so it no longer stacks with Relentless Focus, because it's now a minor berserk, the same thing as Relentless Focus. I try to keep the same concept of my build and bar the same, but granted, there's got to be changes. And fortunately, as Elder Scrolls changes, I have to change with it, and same with everyone here. Alright, so going the typical 5-1-1, 5 medium, 1 light, 1 heavy, going 1 Malekina, 1 Blood Spawn, and 5 Hunting's Rage. I have 3 agility. I'm going to start doing Maelstrom, and my goal here is to get the Maelstrom bow, but I'm not sure yet. It's kind of on the fritz here, because, and I'll go over this here in a minute, but Nirnhone now increases your weapon damage. It also increases your spell damage, whatever. So that is my armor right now. So I've got Infused on the big pieces. You can go Divines on the big pieces, it's up to you. And the small pieces I have Divines, exception of my shoulders, which is end pin. Don't even laugh. You can joke all you want, but I got well fitted right now. But it does reduce the roll dodging cost, which is nice. But this is the only Malekina helmet I have, and I hate White Gold Tower. Yeah, 506 champion points. So once you get level 50, you now scale off your champion points. And say you have 300 CP, you're now champion level 300. The armor itself is 160. The way they did it was, say, Vet 1 is, say, 10 champion points, and it just keeps stacking up by multiples of 10. Alright, so looking at unbuffed stats here. 717 magical recovery, 279 health recovery because I'm a vamp. So another thing they did with vampirism is that you no longer need the ultimate or any of the abilities on your bar to get the stam or magica recovery. So I no longer need Clouding Swarm on my bar. So I'm sitting at 1912 stamina recovery. They've really made this patch vampire friendly. I've got 3,468 weapon damage. I've got 50.8% weapon crit, which your goal is to get over 50% weapon crit. 11k physical resistance. Excuse me. I've got 9.9k magicka, 16.8k health, which increases in PvP when I'm battle leveled. I've got 31k stamina, 1.6k magic recovery. This magicka, not recovery, spell damage and spell crit doesn't matter for this build. Spell resistance 11.4k and crit resistance 939. I use the Buy Food or Zoga's, I can't even say the full name. It's this thing right down here. The Zorga's Triple Pocket, max health and stam recovery. It's really fundamental for this build. So that's the armor. Let's do stealth fully buffed. Buff up. And there you have it. 4314 weapon damage. Alright. Time to go over the rotations. Like I was saying earlier, that Relentless Focus is a minor berserk, and Camo Hunter went from major savagery to minor berserk, so they no longer stack. So I really don't need Relentless Focus. Okay, it's cool to activate the Spectral Bow from time to time, but I'm not too worried about it. So I use Camo Hunter mainly for the crit. What's unique about this build is that what Camo Hunter does now, if you read it, Invoke your expertise in anatomy and enemy behavior to detect stealth and invisible enemies around you for 5 seconds. Exposed enemies cannot return to stealth or invisibility for 3 seconds. I've also got Radiant Mage Light, which pulls out people from stealth, ironically. So, going on my bow bar, primarily I'm a bow ganker, so I'd like to fire and go back into stealth. So that's why my Shadowy Disguise is on my bow bar. You can change that around if you're primarily a melee ganker. So, Shadowy Disguise, the other morph is no longer a purge, so I really don't need that morph anymore. Lethal Arrow, I use this as my snipe and my primary DPS, but I also love it because of the major defile, so I reduce your healing. Poison Injection, which they gave a little buff to Poison Injection this patch, and it is a Executioner. Camo Hunter, I use that for the crit and the Minor Berserk, which also stacks with Rally. Radiant Mage Light, I use that for the Empower, increases my weapon damage. Flawless Dawnbreaker got a little bit of a nerf, but I still use it for the passive weapon damage. It went from 8 to 5, not a big deal. Going over, I still prefer two-hand over dual wield because of Rally. Got Mass Hysteria, that's the bread and butter. Everyone knows Mass Hysteria. Everyone cusses at NightBlades because you get feared. Alright, cool. Rally, I use that for the major brutality and the self-heal. And it's really good for self-heal if you activate Vigor than Rally. Moving on, I've got Ambush, that's my distance closer. I rely on distance closers, and it also gives you power for your next hit. So you can roll right into Surprise Attack. If you hold a heavy attack and then click Surprise Attack mid-charge, it'll do a 2-for-1, and it's a powerful weave. I'll go ahead and just come over here and do that. And I'm moving. Where is the Daedra? Look at these assholes. So I'll charge my heavy attack. 2-for-1. Look at that. It's a pretty good weave. And Vigor. And I love Vigor. Vigor is the stamina user's greatest gift. Alright, I changed from Clouding Swarm to Incapacitating Strike. They did a huge buff to Incap Strike. If you take a look, I'll let you read it as I read aloud. Ravage an enemy with a spinning attack, dealing 14,372 disease damage, stunning them for 3 seconds and increasing your damage against them by 20% for 6 seconds. Also inflicts the enemy with a major defile, which reduces the effectiveness of healings done to them by 32%. So that is a huge thing. And look at the cost, it's only 50 ultimate. If you're level 10 in Assault, and you got Combat Frenzy, you're getting 20 ultimate per kill, and that's an easy 14k, granted it's cut in half, that's at 7k damage right off the bat. So if you jump in there with Ambush, hit them with Incap Strike, or go Ambush, Fear, Incap Strike, then Surprise Attack, they're dead. It's over. So, let's go into the CP allocation. We'll start out with the Warrior up under the Steed. I have 20 in block expertise because I do block. I like to stop the blunt of the damage. 27 in resistant. So there's a player within this game, a very phenomenal player named Arenia. That person told me that you need at minimum 1500 crit resistance. However, I'm a gank build on this. If I want to go sustain, I will make willpower and run shuffle and have end pin on my 3 big pieces and get 1500 minimum crit resistance. Moving on, 42 in Hardy. Because I am a vampire, I have 78 in Elemental Defender. That's quite a bit, but it also gives me the Unchained passive, which reduces the stamina cost of abilities by 80% for 3 seconds after breaking free from a stun, knockdown, fear, disoriented, or stagger. Moving on to the Lord, I don't have anything under the Lord. Look at that. The Tower, I have 34 in Warlord, 32 in Magician. Moving on to the Lover, I have 20 in Arcanist and 20 in Mooncalf. Moving forward, 16 in Befoul, 28 in Tumbling, 17 in Shade. I have 11 in Blessed, which I recommend increasing that if you want, because self-heals are what's going to keep you alive. And you can get that up to 10% and you will be solid. 20 in Melee Expert and 20 in Bow Expert because I do a lot of weaving. You don't necessarily have to allocate your points in that. You can reduce some of this points and throw it in Blessed if you want. Moving on, I have 31 points in Thaumaturge, 20 in Precise Strikes, 20 in Piercing, and 45 in Mighty. So that is the champion point allocation. And this is the Dark Brotherhood NightBlade patch. So I do hope everyone enjoys this. If you see something that you'd like to put in or some changes that you recommend on this build, feel free to add that. Message me in-game at OneTruth. It's spelled with a V, which is the Roman U, mind you. I had someone make a joke at me the other day. So I created this handle quite a bit ago. And thank you for watching, and subscribe. I'll be putting out other videos for the Dark Brotherhood patch here soon. Thank you for watching.